Good morning, everyone. If you can, please turn on your cameras. We're going to start now. Welcome to my class. I'm very happy to see you all. And as far as I know, some of you are new to this class, and I think Charlotte and Flora are the beginners in art, correct? Okay. Welcome. Don't worry about anything. It's not scary, or we're not in school, like seriously in school. Yes, so everything is gonna be fun, a lot of fun. Flora, you raised your hand. Is everything okay? Can you hear and see me? I hope. Okay. Oh, okay. Hi, Flora. Welcome. So let's talk about perspective in art. And this is our topic for today. We're going to learn perspective. I want to know what do you think perspective is? Just the word. Have you heard the word before in your life? Yeah, Maddie says she did. So what what do you know about perspective? What do you think in life it is? Simple words, maybe someone knows.
Is there like a angle that we just view like our our view to the world?
Yes, very good, Charlotte. Exactly. Perspective is the point of view. And in life, it's also we can use it in life and in art. Depending on from which point we look at certain things, we see them in a certain way. Just like in these images in front of you here. So here are in front of you a few types of perspective. So perspective is can be different types. The points of views can be different. And in front of you, you can see an example of different types of perspective. Don't worry, we're not going to go in all the detail about each one of them. I'm going to only show you one today, but just so you know better and you understand better all of the perspectives in art, I wanted to share with you a few. One point perspective, and I will tell you what the point is. 2 point perspective, three, multi-point perspective, 4 point perspective, and 5 point perspective. So it can be lots of points of perspective. Just imagine that if I show you a cup and you go around it, you go above it, and you will see it from different angles. Okay, this is what means different points of perspective. And the perspective is, does anybody want to read what perspective is? It says right here.
I can read that.
Okay.
What is perspective? The way we see the world is driven by rules of perspective. Perspective in sketching is a tool how to create a realistic illusion of three-dimensional space. Everything we draw, from an apple to a spaceship, needs to follow the rules of perspective in order to look realistic.
Thank you, Hope. Very well. So, as you can see, perspective helps us to create something that looks more than just a flat surface, right? Just like you see the street when you're standing in the end of it, you see another end of the street. The same is in art. You can create the same feeling of space using perspective. Perspective can be linear. So linear perspective, there are four major types defined by the numbers. So all these numbers that I told you, they are linear perspective. 1 point perspective is a frontal view. It has only one vanishing point. I'm going to tell you what vanishing point is. Vanishing point is this in the end of the street. I will tell you more later about it. So it's lays on the horizon line, located somewhere within the picture. So I want you to tell me, have you ever heard of what is horizon? Anybody knows what horizon is? Have you ever heard of horizon? Okay, Hope.
Yes, well, like the line between the land and the sky. I don't know. something.
Yes, yes, very good,
Yeah.
Hope. Exactly. So the horizon is where we see the sunsets. If you ever been to beautiful landscapes where you were in the sea, resting, having holidays, and you saw the sunset going down behind the water line, that's the horizon line. Horizon line is where the sky meets the ground or the water, and everything that is on it, we usually, if we don't see the actual line of meeting, we can imagine that it's somewhere there. So in front of you there are two examples of 1 point perspective over here, where if you are here on the street standing, you will see at the back that everything vanishes in that point. All the buildings. Welcome, Anna. All the buildings, everything goes into this one imaginary spot. And this line doesn't have to be in the middle of the picture. It can also, if this is our horizon line, it can also be in the end on the side. So you can stand here, and what you will see is in the end that line. This is the most common type of perspective that we use in photography and in art. Today we're going to look closer into this perspective, but just for your knowledge, I wanted to show you a 2 point perspective where if you stand on the corner of the building over here, you will see both sides of the street that are vanishing in 2 points on the horizon. Does everybody know the word vanish? Everybody is familiar? Okay. Disappear, yes? Slowly disappear into the distance. Okay, very good. So sometimes this is number 1 point, this is two. in some pictures or paintings or views, this point is outside of the frame. For example, here one is in frame, the other one is somewhere probably here a little bit outside of the frame, which is normal. It's just sometimes you can place it inside the frame, sometimes outside the frame. Okay. There is also vertical 2 point perspective. As you can see, it goes up. So imagine this is the ground, this is the horizon line. So we have one perspective vanishing, the street is vanishing, and then the building is vanishing up. If you can recognize, this is the field on the picture. This part is the field, and this part is the building, I think. Yeah, it's vanishing into the atmosphere. I think that's it. Okay, let's move to see the 3 point perspective. As you can see over here on the right, we have 3 points of vanishing, and on the drawing over here there is a cube that is also vanishing into 3 points. This is important for people who do the different type of architecture, engineering. They do this type. They use this type of perspective. And one more thing, that in this type of perspective, you can imagine yourself looking high up the horizon line or down. And these types are called worm's eye perspective and bird's eye. Have you ever heard of the bird's eye? Bird's eye view. It's like when you go up into the building and you can see the whole city. That's the bird eye, yeah, where the birds fly. When we look up from down and we see the buildings above, that's the worm's eye. It's called like that, at least in the art view and bird's eye point of view. What happened? Okay. So you can see the examples, yeah, how they look. I want you to remember this because we're going to have an exit ticket today. I'm going to give you a quiz. We did this quiz in the last class. It's a very fun way to remember material. So there will be a few questions that will come from material that I'm giving you now. Let's look at 1 point perspective closer before we start actually drawing ourselves. So in perspective, there are some rules that are important to remember So we have some idea on how to draw it easily. So for example, in front of us, we see an image of a bathroom over there. Can everybody see the bathroom drawing with red squares? It might look not like a bathroom, but it's a bathroom, okay? So you can see different red squares. Who can tell me what these red squares are? Any idea? No?
Is it like
See?
surface maybe? Surface areas? I don't know.
Very good surface areas, yes. But can you see that all of them, what is the difference between the red ones and these ones that we see, these shapes?
The orange ones are in perspective.
Okay, yes, Mandy, very good. So orange ones are distorted, right? We see them, we know, for example, when you brush your teeth and you stand in front of the mirror, and if the mirror is not round, let's say, yeah, let's talk about most simple ones, most common ones. What do you see? You see a rectangle, right? Usually it's like this or like this. So the furniture is usually made of these shapes. And what we see in the picture is that the orange ones are distorted. You see them something like this, right? Or like this. So in perspective, when you need to draw something, a room or a street with buildings, you need to think about perspective as there are lines that are away from you, they're going to be distorted. That's why they're vanishing into the vanishing point, which is on this picture is right here. And so everything that is facing you when you draw it, square or rectangular, doesn't matter. It's not going to change. It's not going to be distorted. It's very important. That is why you see the red squares are the squares that are facing you. And you can see they all have 90-degree angle. They're all facing you and they're all not distorted. Everything else, look at the tiles over here. The lines are distorted, even though we know that the tiles are square, right? This is what means perspective in art. And it, of course, will be used in any type of perspective. But as we're looking at one point perspective today, let's look at the picture on the right over here where the musician is. It's a little bit funny picture, but it's a good picture to show you how perspective works, especially when you don't classically see the sky and the ground meeting, like I said, right? Because we live in a city. How do I work with it if there is no sunset, there is no ocean meeting the sky? So what is this she's talking about? So I'm going to tell you about this picture on the right. It's a musician which is playing somewhere on the walkway, or maybe it's a little bridge or something. And it's very hard to understand what is vanishing point. So I'm going to tell you that vanishing point is where your eyes meet the top part of the image and the bottom. So for the viewer, I will give you some more examples that will be exactly explaining to you why it's important that vanishing point is the viewer's eye. It's not what you know or what you think, but it's what you see. For the artist, it's very important to know what you see. So here, horizon line is where the building is meeting the rest of the picture. And all of the descending lines, the blue lines, they're all meeting in one point, somewhere behind the leg of the musician, or the hip. This is the hip of the musician. So in this point, if you didn't draw the lines, you would just see a musician and a lot of lines behind him, the space, right? Can everybody see the space over there? It creates the space, right? So this is what's important in perspective. Horizon line, vanishing point, and lines that are disappearing, vanishing somewhere in the distance. Here it's called V dot P. It's the shortened from vanishing point. Okay. Now here is probably a famous painting on the left. Who has seen this painting before? Maddie has seen it. Anybody else? Lisa, who was speaking? Nika, Anna? You probably seen the painting. Does anybody know what painting this is? It's the famous painting of, who can say? Vincent van Gogh, right? This is his room. And you can see it's a little bit funny because it looks like a child's drawing more than anything. So famous artists also, of course, use the simple elements of perspective, one-point perspective in their works, even in such a painting. Imagine that you have your room and you want to draw it and you don't even know where to start, because if you know the points, you will be able to draw it. Here, for example, vanishing point and horizon line are not like in the previous picture, yeah, here with the musician. Here with the musician, the horizon line is some, if this is the middle of the work, it's a little bit underneath. Here it's above, right? It's above. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I say it's important where you see, where your eyes are. So in this case, the eyes are above a little bit, and that's where all the lines that are descending. Nika, is everything okay? You are waving to me. Is it, are you good? I hope she's okay. All right. I will then continue. If you need anything, please let me know.
You
So,
cannot hear her. Something with her
Nika,
microphone.
can you hear me? Nika?
Everything's okay.
Okay,
Just
good. Okay,
mistake.
good. That's important. All right. So, in this work, you can see how the lines are also being distorted in a little bit unusual way. But this is exactly what you need to remember, that there will be these lines. And so we will do a few exercises today, but not right this second. I'm going to show you a few more information and then we will move on. You can see here the street on the right and the one-point perspective. Who wants to try to show me the lines where the horizon is? Where is the point, a vanishing point? Anybody wants to try?
I can try.
Okay, Mehdi. I'm gonna make it so you can try. Can you touch the screen? Does it work for you?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Very good. So, can you try to show us where is the vanishing point and where is the horizon line?
Horizon line
Mm-hmm.
here. No.
Yeah, very good.
Vanishing. Here.
Okay, very good. And can you show the helplines of where the buildings are disappearing or vanishing into the distance? What lines would you use?
Mm. Working here.
Okay, which
Lines
lines?
disappear.
No, not these lines. Which the lines that help us is this, right? That help us
The
find all
helping
the
line.
tops that are disappearing and the ones that are facing us. Can you show us the ones that are not distorted?
Mm. Mm. These.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yes,
I
these
cannot
ones,
answer.
right?
Okay.
Yes, very good. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yes, these are the shapes that are not distorted because they're facing us, right? But this side of the building is already changing the shape, right? Because it's going into that spot. It's like vanishing into that distance, into this vanishing point. Very good, Mehdi. Thank you. All right, now this is what I was talking about. Don't confuse skyline with horizon line. Excuse me. The horizon line in a mountain scene, for example, would most likely be at a point lower than where the peaks meet the sky. Here is where the peaks meet the sky. And the horizon line is somewhere behind where the earth, the ground meets the sky. Because the peaks, they come and go. And then we have these lower parts where should meet the earth or the sky meeting the land and so on. So it depends on your point of view. Your point of view. Remember, this is important. There is also linear perspective. In perspective, there is such a thing that's called linear perspective. Don't get too confused. Don't worry much about it. Linear perspective is basically the further away the objects are, the smaller it will appear. Has anybody noticed that when you stand somewhere and you look from, let's say you look down at something, like at the city from the mountain, what you will see? That the people, the buildings, everything is so small. If you live on a high floor of the skyscraper, you will see that the cars are so small, right? Sometimes you can barely see what's going on the street because everything becomes smaller. The same in the naturescapes, just like here we see the field, buildings and trees are all in a distance. The further they are, the smaller they become. This is what happens in perspective in terms of linear. The further away, the smaller they are. So linear perspective in this case will give you the illusion of distance. This is what we want to achieve when we are trying to use a 2D, a flat piece of paper where we want to create this whole feeling of depth. Okay. Also, there is aerial or atmospheric perspective. Objects in a distance appear also less detailed and lighter. Have you ever been to a field with like mountains and you look at the mountains, you know that they're supposed to be green, but they look a little bit blue. Have you ever seen that happening? Anybody, can you raise your hand if you've seen the mountains become different color? Okay, yeah, very good. So what happens there? Basically, because of the air and the light, certain particles become distorted to a human eye. So you take color in a different way. And the green becomes a little bit blue. It turns into a blue tone. They have usually a cooler tone, which is blue. So yeah, if you ever looked at the mountains in the distance, they appear soft, fuzzy, blue, just like on this painting on the right, like over here. You can see that some paintings become yellow. A lot of times in Chinese paintings, if you've seen Chinese art, artists draw mountains just like you see here. It's a little blurry, they kind of fade away in the distance. It's a very nice trick to use, very atmospheric, creates a very nice feeling of distance, the surrounding by a fairy tale. This is exactly what anybody?
I can try.
Yes.
Okay, okay, hope. Let's go.
So that's the horizon.
Yeah,
Um, that's the vanishing point over there, I guess.
yeah. In the end, this is a one-point perspective. Very good.
So this is the line. This is the line.
Descending lines,
This is the
yes.
line.
Okay, very
I
good.
don't know more.
So this disappearing of the poles, for example, as with the street lights, making the picture look like they are disappearing, and then there is a volume and the distance. You can try to show me the horizon line, vanishing point. What's that one? What the line is that? Okay. I have a question. Why did you decide to put it above? You see that the vanishing point here is a little bit in the sky.
Oh, means on the road.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it should be where the sky meets the land, right? So it should be somewhere there, and that will be the vanishing point. Thank you very much. Let's look also at what's happening with the, let's pay attention, very interesting. What's happening with these yellow lines that separate the road? You see that the same as with poles, they become shorter and closer to each other. So in the end, you can't barely see where there is this distance between them. Yeah. Okay. Of course, one more thing is that one point perspective is usually used to draw streets, cities, and things like this. It's more common. I will be moving down slowly. Try to not press hard on the pencil when you use helplines. 320. Enter your name. That is probably for that is for the name, and you just start. Yeah, you're already in there. You start your quiz, answer questions, and I will see the results. Okay.